distributors rather than face-to-face contact. And I think that especially, I know that, I think it makes less difference online as well. But I think in face-to-face contact, especially when dealing with heterosexual women, that gender can really play into things. And I've definitely watched it in our store because we've had multiple male-identified people working the floor in the store, and there definitely are times where we can assess that this particular client, who is a cisgendered, are people familiar with that term? Cisgendered is a word that's used to identify somebody who was identified female or identified a gender at birth and continues to identify as that gender at that point in time in their life. Does that make sense? In other words, it's a term that they're cisgendered. In other words, they're not transgendered or transgendered, therefore not cisgendered. Make sense? With me? Okay. So a cisgendered woman, especially a cisgendered woman who's from the suburbs, sort of a very mainstream kind of person, often, especially if it's her first time in a sex toy store, sometimes we'll need to pass her off to a cisgendered woman as well. That this person who's male-identified on the floor, whether they have a penis or they're a trans man, is perfectly capable and has all of the knowledge and is able to share that with this person. But sometimes the gender barrier, all she can see is guy. And she's like, I can't talk about my hoo-hoo to this man. And so, and oftentimes, if our male-identified employees are working alone in the store, it's something that you can get past, but sometimes we'll have to, do a little bit of shuffling.
Yeah, I mean, for our store, we've been open 4 years now. We have a very small staff. It's Molly and I, 2 part-timers and a flex-timer. And most of the time at the store, you're by yourself. And that has a whole mess of adventures. But at this point, we don't have any male employees. And I do think that it is unfortunate that we've had some really wonderful people apply, but for that woman who's mainstream, who's heterosexual, it is terrifying to walk into a store like ours. And it was being brave. If at this point, honestly, and we've kind of talked about it on the DL between Molly and I, at this point, we don't feel that we can hire a male employee, and we'd like to in the future. And I think what